The following is a sponsored program paid for by First Alliance Credit Union. Welcome to Good Money Moves, featuring Jenna Taubel from First Alliance Credit Union and Andy Brownell. Here's Andy Brownell on Rochester's News Talk, 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
It's time for Good Money Moves. I'm Andy Brownell on News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM. And I'm with Jenna Taubel, AVP of Marketing with First Alliance Credit Union. Hi, Jenna.
Hello.
So, last week we talked about how we understand how home equity is calculated, how it works, how to build it, how to tap into it. Mm-hmm. What are we going to talk about this week for Good Money Moves?
Well, it is finally feeling like summer around here, and it's time to talk about a favorite Minnesota pastime, boating.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, as you say, so Minnesotan. In the land of 10,000 lakes, it is actually surprisingly something we have not ever talked about before on this show. Can you believe it?
I think there's some statistic out there I read, and don't quote me on this, because this that, on a per capita basis, Minnesota is among the highest in the nation for boat ownership.
I believe that. I believe that 100%. Yeah. We are going to be talking all about what it takes to buy a recreational boat, how to finance it. But before I do that, I should probably, what do we mean by recreational boat, right? It's often called, sometimes people call it a rec boat, but it's like any watercraft used primarily for personal enjoyment, right? You're not buying a fishing boat to go out and like make money and sell fish, right? There's different things. So this includes a wide variety of types of boats. It can include fishing boats, speedboats, sailboats, yachts, pontoons, right? The whole gamut. And people typically buy these for activities like fishing, water sports, just cruising around, anything that just lets you spend some time on the water with your friends and family. So I know some of our fellow Minnesotans may be wondering, how do boat loans work? And the short answer is that boat loans work very similarly to auto loans, because when you take out a boat loan, the boat itself serves as that collateral.
Okay. So quite similar to how I would finance a car, right? So
yes. Yep.
So are the interest rates and the terms also similar?
In some ways, yes. So the terms for boat loans can, as with any financial tool, are going to range kind of widely depending on who you're getting it from and what the purpose is, and some different aspects about yourself and the particular boat in question. But typically, loan terms can vary anywhere from 4 to 20 years.
20 years.
This, I know, I was shocked by this. To learn
go
this
down
as
to
well.
Lake City and you see some of those boat/ships. Yeah, I can see it would take 20 years.
Yeah, so it's generally longer terms than auto loans because boats can be quite expensive, ranging anywhere from like a few $1,000s, for a small fishing boat, while you can get up to well over $100,000 for a newer high-end boat or even a small yacht. Like
well over.
Huge amounts of money can be spent on these things. So now, to get a boat loan, you do usually need to make a down payment, which can range from anywhere from 10 to 20% of that purchase price, although some lenders might offer loans with no down payments as like an incentive to get people to finance with them. Now, interest rates for boat loans, again, they're going to vary with the market. So, for example, in mid 2022, the average rates for buyers with excellent credit started between 5 and 7% APR. So they are already a little bit higher than what you would see from a typical auto loan. However, your rate that you're going to qualify for is going to depend on, factors like your credit score, the price of the boat, the amount you're borrowing, the down payment you're putting down, the age of the boat. There's all kinds of factors that get put into this. Yeah. So I think it's really important to note that also similarly to car loans, many lenders offer loans for both new and used boats. However, older boats might come with higher interest rates, and some lenders may also have restrictions on the age of the boat that they're willing to finance. So just some things to think about.
Because those really old wooden classic boats are some of the coolest out there, but
Yeah.
I imagine that'd be tough. I want to buy a 56 Chris Craft. Give me a loan for it. See you later. Okay. So if I'm interested in doing this, getting into the money pit thing, where can I find a boat loan?
Money pit. Yeah, there are several places you can get a boat loan. Traditional options, obviously, credit unions, banks. There are also, marine finance companies that typically work with like boat dealerships that will finance for you. Just like if you're to walk into an auto dealership, they'll have a network of companies that they would source your loan to. Each of these sources, again, gonna have different terms, rates, so it's really good idea to shop around and compare offers. Of course, there are plenty of options out there, so really the question becomes, what should someone consider before taking out a boat loan? So it's really crucial to consider how a boat fits into your overall financial plan. So as you were saying, boats can become money pits. They are considered a luxury versus a necessity. So you do need to ensure that taking on this loan, this debt, isn't going to strain your finances and put you in a questionable financial position. So make sure to account for all the costs of boat ownership, which we'll talk maybe a little bit more about some of these later in the show. But those things include things like maintenance, insurance, storage, marina fees, other equipment just to maintain the darn thing. And it's also really wise to kind of run the numbers on what the loan will cost you in terms of monthly payments, total interest charges, right? Those kind of basic things that come with taking out a loan. Now, lenders typically prefer a credit score of 700 or above for a boat loan. However, it is possible to get a loan for a boat with a lower credit score. Just keep in mind that the lower your credit score, the higher the interest rate you're likely going to have to pay, which just increases the cost of that boat over time for you. And it's also a really good idea to check your credit score and improve it before you maybe apply for a loan, just to put yourself in a little bit better financial position. And because boat loans are generally more expensive than cars, sometimes qualifying for a boat loan, depending on where you're going, can be a little bit more challenging.
I bet.
Eligibility requirements, again, gonna vary by lender. Some may be a little bit more lenient than others. So again, it's just really worth shopping around, finding a lender whose criteria matches your financial situation and whose rates are beneficial to you.
And I can imagine that, buying the fishing boat, the one you could get into, perhaps used for a couple thousand.
Mm-hmm.
That's where, it's really not going to have that huge of an impact on your overall financing unless you're already in dire straits.
Right.
So it's probably a lot easier to get a loan for something like that rather than I go out and say, I got this 40-foot cabin cruiser I'm looking at.
Yeah.
It's going to be a little bit more scrutiny at that level.
Yes, absolutely.
Because that's a house, okay? You're buying a house on the water at that point.
Yeah.
With
houseboats are a thing.
Yeah, well, no, my family growing up, we had the boat bug. And on my mom's side of the family, all of her brothers had the boat bug. So we would spend most of our summers on the Mississippi with, we didn't have the big boat, but my uncles had some fairly large vessels
on
the Mississippi. And they weren't shy about telling you how much money they had to put into those things. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
One of my cousins caught the boat bug big time from his dad. So he's right in the middle of all that. He's got a big cabin cruiser on the Mississippi, and it's a lifestyle. Let's put it that way.
Yes, it very much is. It is definitely a lifestyle.
But those who are into it, they won't trade it for anything. That's for sure.
No.
Okay, well, we have to take a break. We're talking about boats, how to finance boats, and how to afford perhaps what is a luxury item, but sometimes considered a necessity in the land of 10,000 lakes. So we'll be back in a moment with Jenna Taubel with First Alliance Credit Union. I'm Andy Brownell, and this is Good Money Moves on News Talk 1340, KROC AM, and 96.9 FM.
Good Money Moves continues in moments with Andy Brownell and Jenna Taubel from First Alliance Credit Union. This is News Talk 1340, KROC AM and 96.9 FM. We're talking Good Money Moves with Andy Brownell and Jenna Taubel from First Alliance Credit Union on Rochester's News Talk 1340, KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
Welcome back. Good Money Moves. Our topic this week, buying a boat. I've been waiting for this topic for quite a while, Jenna. You know that. I've been teasing you for a couple of years about this, so it's fun that you brought this up. So we talked about going and getting a traditional loan from your credit union, perhaps a bank, or even the dealership through whatever they work through. But are there other financing options out there besides a traditional boat loan?
Yeah, besides like a traditional boat loan, you can think about personal loans, or even on the topic from last week, home equity loans, right? Personal loans are usually unsecured, meaning they don't require collateral, but they often have like higher interest rates, shorter repayment terms. So that can get really, really expensive if you're trying to buy a more expensive boat that way. Typically, a lender is going to steer you towards a traditional boat loan if you're looking to finance a boat. The only reason they may consider a personal loan for you is if there's, special situations like the boat's too old based on their policies for lending and things like that, in which case they might do a secured personal loan for that, which just means they're still using your boat for collateral, but you're still going to have that higher interest rate and shorter repayment terms. So those are some things to think about. Home equity loans and lines of credit, on the other hand, again, those use your house as that collateral. And those loans usually have lower interest rates, but there's closing costs involved with those. And if you default on the loan, you risk losing your home. So probably not the best route for financing a boat, but it is an option. So, again, personal loans are going to be maybe a little bit quicker and easier to obtain since they don't require that collateral. However, the higher interest rates can really make them more expensive over time. And then those home equity loans and line of credit, while they do have the lower rates than maybe a boat loan directly would, those longer repayment terms can help kind of make it feel a little more affordable in the long run, but there's that risk because now you're using your home to finance that, and if you default, instead of just losing your boat, you're going to lose your home. So hopefully it doesn't come to that, but things to think about.
And there is risk.
There's risk.
A friend of mine had a very, very nice boat, kept it down at Red Wing. And this happened right before we were going to go on a big trip on the boat and spend a week on the river. Big storm came through. This was quite a few years ago. The dock and a big wave came up onto the bow of the boat and sank it.
Oh, my. What an awful thing.
And so, like with everything, there's risk. So
there is.
So if let's say a loan isn't in the cards for me, either the boat's too old or whatever it is, are there any other maybe alternatives I could consider?
Yes. Yeah. So if you are looking to avoid taking on debt or can't get approved for a boat loan, but you still really, really want a boat, there are a couple of strategies you can consider to get yourself out on the water and enjoy some fishing or summer sun still. So one option is just to straight up save for the boat over time. And this is, it's doable if you're looking at a smaller like fishing boat, right? This way you can kind of pay for it in full and really avoid any interest payments. It might just take you a little bit longer to get there. You might also consider buying a less expensive used boat versus a new boat. Used boats can be significantly cheaper, and you might find a really good deal that fits your budget without needing a loan in some cases, just depending on your financial situation. Another alternative is leasing a boat instead of buying one. Boat leases can have lower monthly payments compared to boat loans, but just be sure that you really understand any of the restrictions or limitations that might come with that option. Another option, if you're not really sure how much you're going to use the boat yet, you could rent a boat as needed. This way, you can enjoy the experience of boating without that long-term financial commitment of owning one, which also really allows you to see how often you are actually going to be using the boat, which can then help you determine if owning one truly is even the right decision for you. So, a couple of options to think about.
I think that's a great idea, especially for somebody who isn't into it yet.
Mm-hmm.
Because, once you get into it, you know what the disease is, right? Everybody, you start out with like a 16-foot runabout, pull water skiers behind you or go fishing.
Yeah.
Then you're going to want a 22-footer. And then you're going to want a 28-footer. This way, you can check it out to see if this really is, if you really have a passion for it. And it's not cheap to rent like for a week or so, but in the overall scheme of things, it actually is cheap.
Yeah, much cheaper than owning one, that's for sure.
Right, especially if if you want to decide if this is your lifestyle or not. Yeah. So I guess that leads to my next question for you, Jenna. What should I be aware of when it comes to the actual or total cost of owning a boat?
Yeah. So I kind of alluded to some of this a little bit earlier in the show. So in addition to the loan payments that you'll be making, you also are going to need to consider the ongoing cost of ownership when it comes to having a boat. So those things include regular maintenance, insurance coverage, storage fees. You can't just leave your boat sitting in a marina in the winter. That's not really recommended.
In the old days, you could just put it in your backyard, but the city usually frowns on that now.
Yeah, and not everybody has a yard or a driveway big enough to store a boat.
Sure.
So, and then you also have to think about if you are going to leave your boat in a marina, there's marina fees. And not to mention the cost of all the necessary equipment and accessories that come along with it. And of course, don't forget the license and registration fees for your boat. So it is really important that before you choose to make this purchase that you are budgeting for all of these additional expenses to avoid feeling financially strained or have those expenses become unexpected costs of boat ownership where it becomes that you can't afford it. So, also consider, how are you going to move the dang thing around?
Yeah.
The boat you're probably going to need a trailer. And then you have to ask the question, can your current vehicle pull the weight of the boat you're looking to buy?
Probably not.
If not, do you then need to buy a bigger vehicle? So
yeah,
boats are not like a cost in and of themselves. They're not, they have many rippling effects. So
that's
really
why they call it a money pit.
Money pit. Some people very much enjoy sinking their money into.
Gosh, so many of my best friends.
Yes.
But how many times I've seen them buy, that initial little Lund fishing boat, and that was wonderful for a year or so, and then all of a sudden they've got a 20-foot tri-hull, with a big motor on it that weighs 3,000 pounds, and now they got to sink $50,000 into a pickup truck.
Or more than that these days.
Yeah, I'm thinking used, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay.
If you're lucky.
And then think of all the gas that you're going to have to put into that.
It's not like I'm trying to talk you out of this, folks.
So, point being, start by researching the typical costs of ownership when it comes to the type of boat that you want to buy. Kind of do some ballpark figuring around those annual costs. Make sure that you're setting aside a portion of your budget each month to cover these costs. So it could be a really good idea before you even purchase the boat to also start to create like a special fund specifically for any unexpected repairs or maintenance issues that might come up for owning your boat.
Good idea. Okay. boat ownership, how to get a loan for a boat, how to finance a boat, uh, overall costs of owning a boat. That's our topic today on Good Money Moves. And we'll return in just a moment with more on News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
Good Money Moves continues in moments with Andy Brownell and Jenna Taubel from First Alliance Credit Union. This is News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM. We're talking Good Money Moves with Andy Brownell and Jenna Taubel from First Alliance Credit Union on Rochester's News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
Good Money Moves on News Talk 1340 KROC AM. I'm Andy Brownell with Jenna Taubel with First Alliance Credit Union, and the topic today has been boat ownership. Loans for boats, costs of boat ownership, everything to think about. And I guess before we wrap things up today, Jenna, do you have any final tips for us if we're actually considering buying a boat?
Absolutely. I would say, just to kind of recap our conversation from today, first, consider your financial situation very carefully and make sure that a boat loan is actually going to fit into your budget, and not just the loan itself, but all of the additional expenses that come with boat ownership, and make sure you're really thinking about those so you don't get yourself into a sticky financial situation just because you wanted to be out on the lake every weekend. Second, take your time to really shop around and compare your boat loan offers. So don't rush into a decision. Make sure, again, that it's going to work in your best interest. I would just shamelessly plug that First Alliance Credit Union offers very flexible rates and terms for boat loans. And I would say some of the benefits of working with a credit union for your boat loan over a bank or even a marine finance company is that credit unions are more likely to lend for used boats than other lenders. So great opportunity there.
You
Average
could save
credits.
yourself a lot of money looking at used boats.
Yes, absolutely. And then financing with a credit union, we're, known for our great rates. So even more money saved. Another shameless plug. But average credit scores, even if you don't have a perfect credit score, 750 plus, a credit union tends to look at your entire financial story to help make decisions about whether or not that they can help you afford to buy that dream boat. Flexibility as well is another benefit. So you don't have to buy a boat from a dealer. You can buy from a private seller, like your neighbor who has just a really great deal on a boat, right? We'll finance that way too. So, and at the end of the day, First Alliance is here to help you get on the water. But I think overall, when you're thinking about boat ownership and buying one, and regardless of how you're going to finance it, whether you're going to save up for it or you're going to pay down part of it up front and take out a loan for the rest of it, or you're going to finance the whole thing, whatever that looks like for you and your budget, just be thinking about that really long-term commitment, because again, boat loans can have up to 20 years on them in certain circumstances. So just be thinking about that's a long-term commitment. That's almost as long as a house. So just make sure you're prepared for that commitment and then all of those associated costs of boat ownership that we've talked about today.
And always remember, it's not an investment.
No.
Anybody who thinks they're going to make money by owning a boat or even a car, classic car or muscle car, you're not.
No.
That's a
They
guarantee.
are luxury. No, that's not an investment plan
No,
at all.
They are definitely toys.
And it's
keep that
okay
in
to have
mind.
toys.
It is. And if you're in a position to enjoy that, oh my goodness, all the more power to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it is. We are lucky enough to live in a part of the world where we have fantastic summers and a lot of water. And it's one of the funnest things about being in Minnesota is being out on the Mississippi or any one of our many lakes. So,
Yes.
yeah, if you can pull it off, I'm jealous.
Yeah.
And as always, lots of great information, Jenna. And obviously, I could talk about this topic all day long, but we're running out of time. So I better ask you where we can go that we need to find out or want to find out about how to make good money moves, particularly when it comes to recreational things like snowmobiles, boats, cars, toys.
Yeah, as always, I encourage our listeners to visit our website at firstalliancecu.com. You can subscribe to our blog. We release new financial tips and advice there every week. You can listen to past episodes of this show at firstalliancecu.com/podcast or on krocnews.com. You can also subscribe to Good Money Moves on Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, and Spotify. And as always, I encourage you to reach out to our team at First Alliance Credit Union. We are here to help you start making good money moves today.
That's First Alliance Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA and an equal housing lender. Jenna, thanks again.
Absolutely.
Fun program, fun topic, that's for sure. I look forward to next week when we can chat some more about making good money moves right here on News Talk 1340, KROC AM and 96.9 FM.